Prince Naseem Hamed flashy, bold, and confident. He didn't just fight, he put on a show. But on April 7, 2001, that show collided with cold, calculated precision. It was the night that changed everything. Today, we dive into the fight that buried Naseem's career and break down every detail of his iconic showdown with Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the best fights of 2001.
But as I say, with me saying I can box 5 different ways, I would say after I'm going to achieve what I'm going to achieve, people will see me as a better fighter than Muhammad Ali.
Back in 1992, when featherweight Naseem Hamed burst onto the British boxing scene, he was seen as an eccentric talent.
I'm aiming to be a legend, and I will be.
He was the flashiest, he was electric, cockiest, he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, most confident, he could be arrogant, and most brilliant little fighter I've ever seen. Oh, look at that.
But soon enough, the Yemeni from Sheffield made everyone take him seriously. Even in a boxing-crazed Britain, Hamed stood out.
I love his attitude. Like people will say he's a bit mouthy and he's this and that, but he's backing it up, because he's knocking MFs out, you know what I'm saying? He's knocking them out of here. So, as long as he can do that, he can have the attitude and that, because that is what people want.
After his fight with Cesar Soto in '99, Naseem Hamed was still sitting on top of the featherweight division. His goal was clear: solidify himself as one of the greatest ever in that weight class. He wasn't just after paydays, he wanted that ultimate respect, the kind that comes with legendary status in the sport.
He still throws those chopping punches. Down goes Kevin Kelly. Both guys throwing home run shots now. Down goes Kelly again. They stop the fight.
By 2001, he had collected all the featherweight belts, WBC, IBF, WBO, and the ring title.
I cannot be beat.
But right around this time, Hamed hit some serious bumps in the road. One of the biggest was parting ways with his longtime trainer, Brendan Ingle.
Naseem Hamed would not have been the fighter that he was without Brendan Ingle, no question about that at all.
He teamed up with Emmanuel Stewart, but their partnership never clicked.
I've heard people say in the past that Naz would have been Naz without Brendan. Well, that's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish.
Naseem was too much of a lone wolf. With $40 million in the bank, Naseem stopped listening to his trainers.
And you're dancing the whole time, and the ceiling will open up and smoke, and you'll dance all the way down. You're jumping, you're running. Aren't you burned out before you even start the fight?
No, not at all. No, I just got to get that buzz, that feeling, and just make the crowd give them that buzz and give them that lift, though. I feel great before I get in the ring and knock somebody out.
When Hamed teamed up with Emmanuel Stewart, things got tricky. Stewart knew that technically gifted fighters like Juan Manuel Marquez could give Hamed a real hard time, so they decided to steer clear of that matchup. Instead, they set their sights on Marco Antonio Barrera. Barrera was known for being tough as nails and relentless, but the team thought he'd be a more favorable matchup for Hamed's flashy, unpredictable style. It took almost a year of negotiations to lock in the fight, and this was the moment Hamed had been waiting for. A chance to prove that he was not just a showman, but a true legend against one of the grittiest fighters of that era.
Well, what can I say? You're looking at a legend soon to be. There's time to prove.
Naseem was a phenomenon. With a 35-0 record and 31 knockouts, he was the definition of dominance. His unorthodox technique and cocky attitude made him a superstar. He believed he was unstoppable until that night. But the real issue was Naseem's discipline. Before the Barrera fight, he gained 35 pounds of extra weight, and that showed in his preparation.
Relatively early, squares his shoulders and throws power punches. Barrera is a conventional fighter, but by far his biggest... Straight-laced referees in the business. Be careful of the disqualification.
From the opening bell, it was clear this wasn't the fight Hamed expected.
Body shot. And the Prince has got to come out of his trick bag and make... Not just waiting in. Gets to the body. Wobbles Naz with a left hook upstairs.
Barrera was sharp, fast, and laser-focused.
Get into the slugging match with the Prince. Kevin Kelly thought.
Naseem's punches missed the mark, while Barrera's strikes landed with surgical precision.
Barrera is not looking in.
Big left hand by Barrera, and he's making it work very effectively in round one. He's landed 2 shots to the body. Naz hasn't done any real damage. Round one is all Barrera. Prince Naseem takes several power shots from the Mexican star. Bad that he looks.
In the second round, Naseem went on the offensive, but got nailed by Barrera's signature combo.
May not be able to give advice. You got to work on his eye. That's what you want. That's what you want if you
Nazi.
When they're in close, has his head keeps it
out there.
At one point, Naseem pulled a wrestling move on Barrera, throwing him down, which only fueled the Mexican's fire. Yet, Naseem found his range with a sharp left.
The Cesar Soto bout in Detroit as Barrera is
Hamed lunged at him into the clinch.
I've seen that before.
There's a crowd that could be
In the round with a long delay that preceded the fighter entrances here. A delay of an hour into the ring. Hard left hand by Prince Naseem, countering Barrera.
I didn't expect this.
And Barrera countering him.
The third round was more of the same. Barrera rocked Hamed twice, though Hamed countered well with his right.
Perfect when he came back to the corner. Naseem's power that Barrera is fighting the way he is.
More effective as a counterpuncher rather than taking the lead.
One of those left-hand shots by Naseem. Leading up to the fight, insisted that he had no particular respect for Naseem's power. He's fighting as though he does. And a case which favors Prince Naseem, or at least seems to. Barrera lands a jab. Prince Naseem grins, enormous reflexes, and he's getting hit here.
So far, Barrera.
In the fourth, Barrera again shook Hamed with a vicious left hook, taking the round.
Only 8 by Barrera.
29-28, Prince Naseem Hamed.
Big left hand by Barrera inside.
He gets hit because he's off balance, George.
He hasn't got in one position yet.
No, George, because the guy Barrera
He's
is
a straight left down the middle.
Every round, Barrera should send him to the corner.
But the fifth round changed everything. The fight became a tactical battle, fought at range. Barrera was sharper, landing his trademark combinations twice.
in the middle of the ring.
Difficulty of trying to get the Prince Naseem has been feinting toward the body because as you start forward, big left hand by Prince Naseem.
Stepped in with that. He's got the reflexes of a cobra.
After getting an earful from Stewart in the corner, Naseem switched to orthodox stance in the sixth and had success, winning the round.
Not only so, he
Decide that means points.
keeping the southpaw position to stay away from that jab.
And right now he's confounding Prince.
Still, the Brit couldn't turn the tide.
Okay, Jim, I got to go on that 57, 3 rounds apiece. When Marco Antonio Barrera.
The Vegas crowd cheered every shot Barrera threw, creating the illusion of a one-sided fight. But it wasn't.
Himself. Barrera, he's going to have to climb it, bring it down, close to the chin.
His jab, showing it more frequently. Landing.
Boy, he's brilliant.
I think I saw.
Yet, Naseem couldn't break through Barrera's composure and mental readiness.
To get off with big shots and landing enough of his
That round. Now for the first time, you see the Prince getting closer and closer to the ropes with his back. Thing about Prince, when he doesn't have anything else,
Naz stalking and trying to land that left thrust.
knockdown.
But he's up.
1, 2, 3, and he's in business.
It was dead even until the 11th round. Naseem even took the 10th round on the scorecards.
Just will not fit. He comes back. He can... Still didn't come back.
Very professional.
Barrera's looking at the floor, trying to complete.
Look at this fight the last 4 rounds.
He's throwing the left hand, but he hasn't thrown anything with it.
Things can change, but he's going for
Combination puncher, George.
to get it done here. There's a big left hand by Naseem. And Barrera comes back with 2 left hands. Can you believe it? The combinations have been thrown by Barrera.
Then, in the 11th, Barrera went on a tear, amping up his speed and comfortably taking the round.
Emmanuel, do you believe that?
Told him as such. Well, see, I don't think he's ever been hurt in a fight, but when he gets hit, his head is up.
Mr. Barrera, that you were concerned about, who you saw in his last fight, and said this is...
Naz has got to try to land a big knockout punch, even at the risk.
Thank you.
Stewart just quoted to you, it is Marco Antonio Barrera. Naz's aggression to turn it against him. Naz will not come back with any seated and quiet.
That the Prince has developed since he was a boy. There is, but not when he's running.
The 12th was all Barrera. He made Hamed miss, landed crisp shots of his own, but spoiled it with a dirty move, grabbing Naseem's arm and slamming him into the ring post.
Prince is trying to figure out how can he get in.
That's true. Too much chin.
Barrera pounds Naseem into the ring post, risking disqualification. Furious at Naz's antics.
Ref Joe Cortez deducted a point, rightfully so, but even that didn't save Naseem. He lost the fight, tactically beaten, and he knew it.
Scintillating listen before the fight. And if he loses, it's because you've seen here suggests that
All 3 judges scored it for Barrera, 116 to 111, 115 to 112 twice. There was no knockout, no beatdown, despite what the Hamed haters like to say.
Tough fight for you. Why was this fight different for you than all the other fights you fought?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's as I've told you before, Larry, but the answer you give me is you can't interview Allah. The fact is, my faith is still there to the maximum. If that's the way it's written for a man to go, that's the way it's written from Allah. I'm happy, I'm still confident. The fact is, he couldn't drop me, he couldn't knock me out. And I'm going out at this ring like a champion still. At the end of the day, I give him all congratulations and all the best of all the success in the world to him in the future. And what can I say? I only have to get straight back in the gym and get back again like champions do. Come back and fight again. It's written from Allah for that to happen, and I accept what is written. That's all I can say.
There was talk of a rematch. It was even in the contract. Naseem claimed his poor performance was due to injuries in both hands. But the world would never see a second fight between these 2 greats. Hamed fought only once more after this, beating a mediocre Spaniard, Manuel Calvo, before retiring at 28. He didn't break, but the question remains, did Barrera break him, or was Hamed just not ready for that kind of opponent? Marco Antonio Barrera fought on, beating Eric Morales and Johnny Tapia, but also suffering a brutal loss to Manny Pacquiao. In 2001, Barrera did what he had to. That night in Vegas, he was just better than the Prince, and he earned his win. This night became one of the most talked about events in boxing history. It showed that even the greatest can fall and left a mystery. Was Hamed truly one of the greatest, or did Barrera expose him? The answer is yours to decide.